Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is the Angry Chicken. I am Garrett, here as always with Jocelyn. Joss, I am coming to you live from North Carolina on a microphone that is not nearly as good as what I usually speak into.
But it's okay, because you have a super fancy background now.
I do. I'm a real streamer. There's a bed behind me.
It's so
wonderful.
fancy.
Yeah, so fancy. So, anyways, I'm traveling at the moment, but the Angry Chicken waits for no one, including me. So here we are to lay down our regular Tuesday episode at our regular Tuesday time. And I'm just happy that happened because I wasn't sure it was going to. Jocelyn, I am the foremost expert on Hearthstone Tavern Brawl and really only Hearthstone Tavern Brawl because I have had to play on mobile connection only for the last 5 days. And you know what that means? That means Tavern Brawl or solo adventures because I ain't risking a disconnect loss.
So what did you think of Doom in the Tomb Part 2? So this is the second of the event brawls. And so we're still doing like dungeon runny stuff. You're still not playing against other people. So what do you think?
Still doing dungeon running stuff. We're basically there. We basically made it to BlizzCon. I know we've got one more expansion this year, but they've done it. I'm just gonna chalk it up to win everything solo player like involved this year. I've just liked it. I have just had a good time with all of it. Of course, I have some minor nitpicks, like that damn Lich boss that like heal can like do a 40 heal and the heal loses like 1 heal for every friendly minion that dies that you run into. That boss is so obscenely more difficult than anything else in this damn Tavern Brawl. That's like my nitpick for this week. I just kept going up against that thing like, this shouldn't be that hard. I have an egg as brand that literally spawns a King Crush every time I damage it, and all my hero power does is targeted damage. This shouldn't be that. I can literally just make my own King Crushes from turn 6 onwards. What is happening? Why is this so difficult? So that's kind of my critique. But yeah, I really enjoy these, Joss. I like them as much as candy corn, which I know is a really bad analogy for most people because most people I know hate it. But I actually love candy corn. And it's all over the loading screen when we get into Hearthstone right now.
It is. I'm on the fence in terms of the candy corn discussion, mostly because I just have a huge sweet tooth. So is it sugar? Yep, then I'll eat it. Okay. Doesn't necessarily mean it's my favorite, but if it's there, I'm going to put it in my mouth. So I don't know what side of the candy corn argument that puts me on, but yeah.
I would say it would put you at candy agnostic.
Yes. All right. There we go.
Candy agnostic. Take a stance, you coward. Take a stance. But yeah, I've been enjoying it, and for those that don't know, I've been helping my wife out at her trade show, which at times gets excruciatingly slow, like retail work levels of slow. Only I don't have a boss that yells at me for occupying my time with mobile games like I did when I worked retail. So got a lot of Tavern Brawl in, and made some friends. People walking in like, hey, what are you playing? I'm like, Hearthstone. They're like, Hearthstone, what is that? I'm like, clearly you don't watch the world news.
Yeah, really, eh?
yeah but
it must be so fun and weird to be in an environment. I mean, I feel like I am just so constantly surrounded by, geeky gamer type people that like even all the cons I go to are, DreamHacks and BlizzCons and everything else. And so I never really have to explain like, oh, this is Hearthstone. So yeah, it must have been a really cool experience.
Yeah. It's been an all right time. Although Katie's coworkers know exactly what it is. And they're like, hey, Garrett, how is it being a straight up like political journalist for the last month? And I'm like, it's all right. It's all right.
Ups and downs. Mostly downs.
Mostly towns. Mostly it's not what I ever thought I'd have to get into.
Yeah.
Choosing this line of topic. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. Did you have a good time with the brawl? You do any dual class arena-ing, anything of that? Get into the Halloween spirit, or you just smashing that ladder?
I actually have been doing some arena, not too much. I'm still really bad, but I have taken, because I found myself, I don't know why. I don't know if they've started giving us more or what the case is, but I have like a whole ton of packs I haven't even opened. I think I've got like somewhere around 40 packs. I can't remember if I'm just under or just over 40 packs that are just like sitting in my Hearthstone client unopened because I'm just like, I don't need any of cards. Like, so they're just sitting there unopened. I've got like 2,000 gold. I've got a whole bunch of dust. I don't know. I feel like my cup runneth over in this specific expansion. I don't know why. So I don't know. I've been spending my gold on arena runs and I'm terrible at them. So I'm not winning my gold back. But I've been having a lot of fun.
How soon until you like straight up hit someone up like Merps or someone to be like, yo, let's get schooled.
Make me the arena queen.
Let's do a dual stream.
Well, I always feel like when they do dual class arena is when I start to really get into it. I'm not a huge fan of normal arena, although I haven't played arena much since they've actually started like rotating sets in and out and making cool combinations of cards and stuff. So maybe I just would like arena now. I don't know. It's just been such a nice change. I actually didn't play too much of the brawl because I was doing the dual class arena stuff. So I feel like it always piques my interest, and I always get excited about when I can combine classes together and try to find cool synergies. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to just arena more, which I literally never thought I would say.
Same. I can't believe I'm hearing these words leave your mouth. But,
I know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're traditionally a ladder focused show,
a standard ladder show. Like we really, when you think about it, have a pretty narrow focus when you think about everything that there really is in Hearthstone.
Yeah. We've done like one wild specific show in the entire history of this podcast, and then we have covered some wild decks before. That's we go back to that every now and then. But yeah, standard ladder has always been our bag. We obviously have been pulled a little bit into solo play this year because we like what they're doing, but arena has always kind of eluded you and I for the most part. And this is an interesting time because the word I hate using, but the cadence of updates for standard ladder have been insane this year. They've been so good with keeping things fresh. Right now is probably the biggest misstep with just the overabundance of evolve shamans on ladder. Like that's probably it. I mean, obviously they misstepped. You could argue they misstepped. Well, I don't even think it was an argument. Clearly they did because they reverted the buff on a couple of cards.
From
Pocket
Galaxy,
from the Dr. Boom event.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I still like. I don't know. It had an impact, but which is strange. It's like I look back on it, it doesn't feel as bad as Evolve right now, even though back then we were watching specialist format play out in the esports. So I don't know. It's probably just my own revisionist history brain. We're like, no, this is way worse than what happened before. Like, no, you idiot. You had to watch the same deck get played over and over again.
Yeah, don't you remember Conjurers calling Mage?
What are you talking about?
Like, yeah, it was way worse. Well, maybe not way worse, but I think definitely on par. And I think it's okay because they're short-term changes. Now, we didn't know Pocket Galaxy was going to be a short-term change, but we do know that we're in the middle of an event right now, right? So Evolve is not going to be here forever. But the unfortunate thing about it, I think, is that it does create this shaman-centric meta and is going to impact, we just saw it impact Masters Tour Bucharest, and then it's going to impact our finals at BlizzCon. So it's the kind of thing where it's like, do I want something like this? Like, do I want shamans to be everywhere for BlizzCon? And I think my answer is yes, because I think it's created some super cool, crazy moments, again, from a selfish viewer perspective. If I was actually competing in BlizzCon, I might have a different opinion there, maybe. But I do think it's really cool and fun from a viewer perspective to see some of the stuff that they're doing. And because we're not living in a single class specialist world anymore, because we do have, shields and bans and stuff, then I think it's kind of okay because everyone's bringing 4 decks. So we get a little bit more variety from each player. So I think having one strong deck that everybody brings, that's kind of always going to be the case. So I mean, in this
Yeah, it
case,
is. There's
it's
times where
it's
it's
an
worse
RNG,
than
right?
others, but you think of 2019 and grand and like the Grandmasters meta, and you kind of think about it in what's like what were the most powerful ones. We had like the Warrior point that followed by the Pocket Galaxy point, now followed by
Don't forget
the
rogues.
the Evolve. Oh yeah, and Rogues. Yeah, Rogues were in there too, just
Waggle
beating your
picking
face in.
everybody.
Waggle picking everyone to death.
Yeah.
It was it was Valera in the kitchen with the
With the
waggle
waggle
pick.
pick.
That's how that went down. Right. So we've essentially had like 4 or 5 major strong points for different classes, and all of them are different classes. There's no overlap there. And then there's also Priest, by the way,
Hmm.
which they nerfed and didn't go away.
Yeah. And Holy Wrath Paladin, that's been kind of a staple. It's just, I feel like,
No one gets mad about Holy Wrath
yeah, no
Paladin.
one's
There's
mad
something
about
about
that.
Holy Wrath Paladin where it's like that, like I say the gentleman's. That's the gentleman's OP deck,
I
right?
see.
Like
The gentleman's
nobody
combo deck.
nobody does a table flip because they lost the Holy Wrath Paladin. I'm sure someone is out there, and I'm sure we're going to get mentions. Feel free, please send them. But that's the one where I'm watching, and honestly, like right now, I feel like watching Pro Hearthstone at the moment. That's the one I kind of watch fall on its face
Mm.
more than anything else, because it can go poorly. Things can just not work out for you as the Holy Wrath Paladin. But that again, it's that kind of thing where you're talking about, yes, this seems not as strong in a field of literally the strongest archetypes, the strongest deck lists that exist in this game.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. There's my ramble about Holy Wrath Paladin. But it never got to that peak where all of us were like, yeah, seems a little strong. Something should probably be done about that. And I don't think Priest really got to that peak for me. I thought Priest was okay, and they nerfed it anyway, and it's still totally fine. So I'm going to defer to Team 5 on that one. I think they made the right call.
Yeah, Priest is funny because Priest is very similar to some other kind of aggro decks almost, in that if it gets the perfect turn, like 1, 2, 3, then they can kill you on turn 4. And that feels super bad. But that deck also, like I think similar to Holy Wrath Paladin, when it falls on its face, it falls on its face.
Yeah, I would imagine that they're taking a look at Northshire, they're taking a look at Light Warden, they're taking a look at Secret Keeper, which isn't Priest, but Priest made me think of this. I think Priest is one of these last bastions of the very strong one drop.
Mm.
It's the last couple of years in Hearthstone have just been a war against the one drop. And like Mana Worm was the last like real like major offender to be kind of taken off the board. And so I'm sure they've got to be looking at Light Warden, at Northshire Cleric, and I would also put Secret Keeper in that list, because while again I would say it's fair and stats certainly seem to back me up, but when those like the Highlander Hunter, when they get that perfect draw, when they start with the Secret Keeper and the opponent doesn't have a way to deal with it on turn 2 or 3, followed by any number of secrets, it just gets wildly out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be surprised if in the year 2020 we're still watching a Northshire go down and going, oh God, please don't have extra. Oh, son of a bitch. Oh, they had it. But yeah, I don't know. We're basically here, Jocelyn. Like BlizzCon is around the corner. We're about to kind of find out what the future holds, and I'm feeling very retrospective.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had just the most delightfully casual week of Hearthstone I have had in a very long time, and I really enjoyed my time being like hardcore mobile Hearthstone player in the past week. It's I never really get to see it through that that lens.
I was going to say, somebody clip that, because I don't think casual mobile Hearthstone player is anything that anyone ever thought Garrett would say he enjoyed.
It was a conflux, because it's very long days at this trade show that I'm helping my wife at, And I get up 6:30 or 7 a.m. every day,
Yuck.
and everyone who has a traditional job is like, "You baby." Um,
Well, yeah, but everyone who has a
um,
traditional job isn't up as late as we are.
same. I mean, I usually wake up at 8. That's the normal time I get out of bed, and like an hour earlier
Still
just
gross.
just kills me because I'm just used to it. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to defend myself. If you think I'm a jerk, I probably am. But my point is like I'm basically at her trade show from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. every day for the past 5 days, and I'm just kind of like mentally exhausted and drained. And at first, when I got here, I'm like, man, I wish I had a better connection. I wish I knew I had like a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes to like log ladder games during the slow points, but I can't tell when the slow points are coming. So I've just been playing like brawls and whatnot. And instead, it turned out to be a really good thing for me because it was like, oh, Hearthstone is like, I'm not playing it competitively except for that damn lich. It made me want to table flip. Uh, but everything else, it was perfect. It was the absolute perfect thing. I was in the absolute perfect Zen state of mind to want to get down with some lighthearted mobile Hearthstone play. And I enjoyed my time. 5 out of 5 stars. Would vacation here again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had an all right time. So yeah. Thanks to the Brawl team who have been doing a really good job this year because it's been a week for me. I had a good time relaxing in there. But anyways, Josh, before we get too deep into this episode, we have a giveaway
We do.
for our fine listeners. Team 5, the Hearthstone team, have seen fit to hook us up with yet another giveaway. If you are wanting to watch BlizzCon from home or on the go, anywhere basically but the BlizzCon floor, although there's nothing stopping you from pulling it up on your phone, and would like to get yourself a virtual ticket but haven't gotten one yet, or maybe you want to gift a virtual ticket to your buddy who's just annoying you. Is it that friend you have that they're not a good enough friend that you really want them over at your house watching your virtual ticket, but you like them enough that you would give them a free virtual ticket if you so happen to get one? We have 15 virtual tickets, BlizzCon virtual tickets to give away. They were, again, sent to us by the Hearthstone team, and we're giving them away the same way we've been doing all our giveaways as of late on Gleam. So, Jocelyn, tell them how they can win.
Oh man, I don't know. I can't channel my inner like game show host. I'm so sorry, but
I'll just sit back here and go. "Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da."
you can enter by linking your Twitch account to Gleam and then following A-Move or Joss Plays, or both. You can also go to A-Move on YouTube, or you can follow any of us or the show over on Twitter. So you can enter a possible 7 times. It's gonna be
Yes. So if you're listening to this on the download or you're watching it on YouTube after the fact, you should go over to amove.tv because we have a post for it up right now with the Gleam entries embedded right there. So if you've already done these things, by the way, congratulations, you can still enter. You just go over to the Gleam embed over on amove.tv, look
And
for
just
the
check the
BlizzCon
box.
virtual ticket giveaway post, and yeah, click it, and you can. Every one of these things is an entry. So go get your follows on and win yourself a BlizzCon virtual ticket. And if you've already been doing it for a while, you can still enter. So head on over there, amove.tv, look for the BlizzCon virtual ticket posts, and enter on Gleam. Now, Jocelyn, before we get into this week's Hearthstone news and talk about things like, Masters Tour Bucharest or Dual Class Arena having the class card offerings changed in a certain way, we have a sponsor to thank for today's episode, and it is BarkBox. And thanks, BarkBox. You just had to sponsor the episode, and I've been away from my dogs for like 5 or 6 days. I just miss my dogs,
Aw.
Jocelyn.
So many feels. Poor
I
Garrett.
listen. I know every listener, you have the cutest dog, but in reality, I have the cutest dogs. 3 of them. They are the cutest
My dog's
chihuahuas
the
in the
cutest dog.
world. No, Jocelyn, I'm sorry. You want go under cute dog in the dictionary, and there's a picture of all 3 of my chihuahuas.
Yeah.
Because that's not a fact. That's science.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Anyways, if you are unfamiliar with BarkBox, BarkBox delivers awesome toys, all natural treats, basically dog joy in a box to your doorstep. They design their own toys in-house. They use really great materials. They've got things like stomach safe t-shirt rope, which is great because the latest addition to our furry family, Wicket, the littlest chihuahua, she can unravel a rope toy in minutes, Jocelyn, and some of it will definitely get swallowed. It's just gonna
Yeah,
happen.
we have a chewer too.
Yeah. They've also got spiky ball cores, and they have definitely not run out of ideas of unique sounds for squeakers. So go check them out. On top of that, the treats are made and produced with meat sourced right here in the U.S. and also right there, Jocelyn, in Canada. There is no soy, corn, or wheat in these treats. Before they even approached us to sponsor an episode of The Angry Chicken, Katie and I had already been subscribed to BarkBox for well over a year. This is before they were ever like, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna sponsor the show. You know, you can run a read." And I was like, of course. I've already been giving you my money because I legitimately enjoy your product. So yes, let's. This seems like a match made in heaven. It sounds wonderful. Please send me the information." Um, and they did. It's an event I've said on past reads, and I'll mention it again. When the box shows up and we put it on the kitchen table, the dogs know exactly what's up. They're like, suddenly I'm surrounded by chihuahuas, Jocelyn.
Aren't you always just surrounded by chihuahuas?
I
Or
think it bored
more
with
so?
me. They like to watch TV. They will abandon me and go watch television. But when the BarkBox shows up, I'm just swimming in a sea of chihuahuas. It's wonderful. So you should check them out. They ship directly to your door. It's a $40 value starting at $22 a month. They have mind-blowing toys. They're going to keep your dog engaged. If you've got a heavy chewer, if your dog has allergies, they can also accommodate special needs. And there's a 100% happiness guarantee. If your dog doesn't love something, BarkBox will replace it for free, no questions asked. And on top of all of this, just for being an Angry Chicken listener, you get a free extra month of BarkBox when you subscribe to a 6 or 12-month plan. All you have to do is go to the best URL ever, barkbox.com/barkingchicken. Again, for a free extra month of BarkBox, when you sub to 6 or a 12-month plan, head on over to barkbox.com/barkingchicken. Let's move on and talk about Masters Tour Bucharest, Jocelyn, because if I wasn't already sad that I'm not around my chihuahuas at the moment, I went on an emotional journey with Orange.
Yeah.
A second, it's like Orange the sequel, or it should Orange's story in Grandmasters should win an Oscar next year. It is the most engaging emotional drama that I have witnessed in all of 2019.
I felt so he tweeted out, I think after like the first day with his, 5-0 record, I think after day 1. And I almost retweeted it and was like, yeah, go Orange, I'm rooting for you. And then I was like, no. Whenever I start to root for someone, they start to lose. I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. This is my life. So I am going to not say a word, and I'm just going to be passive, and I'm not going to root for Orange. But I think the universe knew. The universe knew that in my heart, I wanted him to win so badly because he ended up going out in the top 8, unfortunately. It was so close. Oh, and I was so sad.
Yeah, he made it to the top 8. I mean, what did he do? He went 8-1, I think.
Yes, 8-1. Yeah.
And didn't he open like 7-0 or 8-0 or something insane? Wasn't the one at the very well? The one was, I guess, in the top 8, wasn't it?
No, it's 9 rounds of Swiss. I can't remember if he lost in the second last or the final round of Swiss, but yeah, it did. His one loss came. There you go. Now, Derek in the chat room, thank you. Says he was 8-0 before he lost in the ninth round of Swiss. So,
I thought so. Yeah, that was just ridiculous because I was like, why? Because he was tweeting after he would complete rounds, and I couldn't watch, but I was like refreshing his Twitter obsessively, and I remember the 7-0 going up and then the 8-0 going up, and I'm like, dude, Orange is unstoppable. This is going to happen, and unfortunately, it didn't happen.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it would have been just the greatest story ever because, I mean, Orange getting eliminated on tiebreakers in a 4-way tie from his Grandmasters pool was just heartbreaking and wrong on so many levels. And so it was really, really unfortunate. And I was definitely super rooting for him. And unfortunately, we don't actually know what the rules for season 3 are going to be, or I guess the season 3 relegations into season 4. So I don't know how far back they're going to count winnings in the Masters Tour. But I mean, at least a top 8 finish is nothing to sneeze at, right? So
Right.
hopefully, this, and then I'm assuming a good performance in Arlington in at the end of January, beginning of February, should hopefully put him in the running. So we do know now who our grandmasters for next season are going to be, who got those relegation spots, and this I find just mind-blowingly crazy backwards wrong, to be honest. So since we know who the grandmasters are going to be now, it's pointing us in the direction that BlizzCon doesn't count towards your relegations, towards your prize money, towards, who gets promoted into season 3, which means we could literally live in a world where Fino could win the world championship but not being grandmasters. That's nuts to me.
Insane.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane. Then I want like sudden death. I want, if Fino wins
Sudden death.
Grandmasters, I want the Thunderdome Hearthstone edition, where, all right, everybody, sorry, a player that got relegated literally won the global finals. You all now have to play Fino in a best of 5, and if any of you lose, you're out. Sorry, you're just out. You're done.
Anyone done. Love it.
That's it. Are you wearing a Grandmasters merch shirt? Hand it over. You're walking out of here shirtless. Like just a hell in a cell. Just a cage comes down over the stage at BlizzCon. Back on the main stage, by the way. Sorry, getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Talk about that in a minute. But yeah, you're certainly right. If we're talking about knowing who next year's Grandmasters are, it sure as hell sounds like performance in the global finals doesn't actually count.
Yeah, so I'm
so weird, and also like, we haven't heard back, and like I get it, they're a little busy over on the Hearthstone team, especially on the esports team. But yeah, we haven't gotten a straight answer on this, and it's not looking great.
Well, I mean, like technically, we haven't gotten an answer on this, but the official like Hearthstone esports Twitter was like tweeting out about the places in Europe, and like what had to happen in order for other people to take the spots away from Felkeen and Zim, who placed very well at Seoul. So I mean, obviously, if Fino was in that mix for his placement in the global finals, then the official Hearthstone account would have been talking about that, I would assume. So Felkeen and Zim did secure the spots in Europe, and then in Americas we had Language Hacker. Yay! Super rooting for him. And oh my gosh, I can say this name in my head, but my tongue doesn't want to cooperate. Empanizado is our second Americas player. And then over in APAC, we have Possessi and Kin, who are going to be taking those spots in Grandmasters. So Kin plays second in Bucharest, and then Possessi was fourth in Vegas. So that is our new set of Grandmasters for this coming season. And yeah, we don't know anything about season 3 yet. I assume we'll get some more details at BlizzCon, hopefully.
Yeah. And then also, spoilers for the winner of Bucharest if you're catching up on VOD, but congrats to Eddie. Like, poor Eddie, man. Like, poor anyone who beats Orange, because the headline is always going to be about Orange's loss and not the other player's victory.
Yeah. And I mean, so Eddie was playing under a different name last year, but he's actually, I believe he won DreamHack Atlanta. I was there. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but yeah, he did. He won DreamHack Atlanta, and he is a grandmaster. And I think a lot of people, I mean, even our chat room right now is talking about the let's call it the quality of the Americas players who were promoted to grandmasters, just because their winnings were a little bit lower than the other regions. But if you really think about it, like we had Eddie, who won a tour. He's already in the Americas. You've got Dog, who won a tour, and Gallon, who came second, both America's grandmasters. So if you if you take the biggest winners in the Masters Tour out of the region, then yes, it's gonna, any region would look like they had much, much lower winnings, because the winnings are quite top heavy. So yeah.
And
Language Hacker actually won a seasonal championship last year, guys. He's a great player.
Yeah, I was really happy to see Eddie win this, as rooting for Orange or not, just because NA gets no respect. Like, this is a major
No
international
respect.
tournament. With what was the final count? It was 200 and 87 players
Yeah.
battled it out.
Yeah.
Like,
I
that's
believe just over 300 were invited, and then just over almost 300 ended up checking in and actually competing. So
yeah.
chat room is also Garrett. I know you didn't actually get a chance to watch most of this. Have you at least seen the clip of Eddie receiving his trophy?
Yes, it was
Okay.
very awkward.
Okay, good. And so something you guys should know about these Hearthstone trophies, and I think Garrett, Katie actually got you the employee gift, right? From like the first year of Hearthstone.
Yeah, it feels weird to talk about it, but yeah,
Okay, sorry.
somebody on eBay, who I guess didn't care that much about their Blizzard employee gift, put that it's like a sculpture of a Hearthstone on a stand,
Yes. So
that lights up.
that
Yeah.
was the point I was getting to, is on a stand, because the Hearthstone trophies were designed to be like a stand, and all the stands are very similar. It's exactly like the employee gift from 5 or 6 years ago that you've got. And then it's got it's holding the actual like gem. And I guess Eddie thought it was all attached, and they're never attached. It's a stand and a thing. He didn't know it was 2 pieces, and ended up dropping it on stage. And I mean, you couldn't hear it. I couldn't tell if it actually broke or not when it hit the ground. But between Falcone and I can't even remember which Blizzard employee it was that was actually presenting the trophy, they're like super awkward. And like Falcone's face when he was like, "Oh, we're supposed to go now," and then that led to Eddie dropping the trophy, and then Raven and Soddle didn't even know what to do, and Soddle's just in total Soddle way, "Disaster." It's like, okay, this is the funniest thing I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Frankly, I would have assumed it was all one piece too.
Yeah.
If it was me.
Just, oh man. Yeah.
Yeah. All you have to do, by the way, folks, just type Eddie Hearthstone trophy into Google
Yeah.
image search. There's some phenomenal freeze frames
Yeah.
of just this blurry Hearthstone emblem falling, and
Oh, right.
well,
And then Falcone walked in front of the camera. But in his defense, I don't think he would have realized that they were cutting back to Raven and Soddle, because it was supposed to be like the glorious Eddie on stage moment that they had to cut away from very quickly. So,
well,
but yeah, it was just a whole thing. And it's going to be the clip that I watch whenever I'm having a bad day and I just really, really need a laugh. That is now my go-to clip.
Yep. No more kitten videos. Just Eddie.
Yeah, just Eddie.
dropping the top part of his trophy.
Yep.
Well done. So Hearthstone, as usual, has a good roundup of all of the deck lists. He brought a warrior that had Nazoth and Hakar in it, which was kind of nuts.
Yeah,
actually,
the
a lot of
Hakar tech was so cool because you've got Nazoth in there too. Like, oh man, all the corrupted bloods. It was so exciting to watch.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. Actually, warriors pretty much across the board for a lot of the top players. There was also the most rogues we've seen in a while.
Yeah, rogue
across your top 8.
Yeah, I think if you were kind of paying very, very close attention to, basically grandmasters and their Twitter accounts, and not even necessarily grandmasters, but just like there's a lot of kind of people who have their pulse on competitive Hearthstone, we'll call it, that end up, finding decks and retweeting things. And I think I've mentioned her in a couple times on the show. Oh my God, his Twitter account is amazing. And so if you were paying very close attention to stuff that was out there, I think you might have been able to see the rogue coming. But it seemed to kind of, if you're just more of a casual viewer, rogue kind of came out of left field. But it was really, really fun to watch. I highly enjoyed it. I'm so glad Nazoth is back, and Sylvanas, and just, oh man, I really like pretty much everything, and even Evolve isn't too bad.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, like, with such a major tournament so close to BlizzCon, I wonder if we get to BlizzCon and there's any surprises as far as decks, or if everyone had to kind of drop their surprises now for this tournament for Bucharest.
Yeah, and I think we might see a couple of little swings in terms of, what people are bringing. We did get to see Eddie play the Res Priest, which I really, I mean, I talked about it last week. I really like the Res Priest. I kind of prefer a Res Priest tempo style fun-ish deck as opposed to just the straight up combo priest. But the other thing that's really interesting is that Masters Tour specifically didn't have a shield phase. And BlizzCon, as far as I know, although I don't think it's actually officially been released, but I would expect them to use the same format that they were currently using in Grandmasters. So I would expect to see Shielded Conquest as the BlizzCon format. And if that's the case, then that potentially, because you're able to shield a deck, that might actually change people's lineups and strategies because they're able to protect something that otherwise they would assume would get banned.
There's like no way in hell they don't use Shielded Conquest.
I
right?
hope they
like,
do. I really like Shielded Conquest.
Yeah, no, I just mean, like, I know the rules are kind of vague in that way, but what are they gonna do? Go back to specialist for the finals? No.
I think we'll see some form of conquest. I just don't know if it'll be shielded or not. And I hope it is because I think it's really cool that players can say, like, no, this is the deck I absolutely want to play. And you get to ban from the other three because that does change up lineups and strategies in a very real way. So
yeah, I want them to spend more, like, spotlight the banned decks more too. Like,
Yeah.
instead of the Fern interviews, let's get some conversation around
who brought what
decks
and why
are getting banned, why, and maybe even player interviews explaining why they want to ban certain decks. So.
Good luck with that.
Listen. Edit it, okay?
Yeah.
You have the power.
You have the time, yeah.
Listen, I've fired up Premiere like twice in my life, okay? It's not that hard. I'm kidding. I use Premiere a lot. Anyways, moving away from Bucharest, we've got links in the show, by the way, if you want to snag some of these deck lists or catch any of the VODs. I've got them linked in the show notes, or head over to Hearthstone. They have really good rundowns of these things. Dual class arena class card offerings have been tripled. Replying to a post on the subreddit essentially decrying the current arena meta, associate designer Chalky, which I will never get used to saying, posted saying that Team 5, quote, adjusted class card offering rates for the duration of dual class arena to be about triple what they were previously. Around half of the cards offered per draft should be class cards now, which is good. Even though, the cranky part of me goes, probably should have done this from the get-go. It's kind of like what is exciting about this about this arena.
And then you go in and draft a deck and it's all neutrals and you're like, so much for my dual class.
Yeah, my warrior mage and all its yetis. Woo! Yeah, it's not the best. But that's good to know. Thank you for the update, Chalky. And now, before we get into our thick and meaty BlizzCon chat, because it has drastically changed from what we thought this section of the show was going to be earlier today, we have one more sponsor to thank today, and it is HelloFresh. You should go check them out over at HelloFresh.com/TAC80 and use the code TAC80. But if you've never checked out HelloFresh, they're the meal kit delivery service that delivers ready-to-cook meals straight to your doorstep in special insulated packaging that even holds up to the swamp that I live in. And, if I can't get to it right away. And they make cooking really easy because they have step-by-step recipes with pictures. Everything comes pre-measured, all of the ingredients. You basically they give you everything you need to get a wow-worthy dinner on the table in just about 30 minutes. That's a big one for me because I don't want to spend my entire evening in the kitchen. I've got ladders to grind and multiple games, and I don't want to spend it all in front of a damn stove. There's also something for everyone. There's family recipes, there's calorie smart, there's vegetarian offerings. There's also fun menu series like Hall of Fame and craft burgers. I am a really big fan of their tacos because there's always a spin on it in a way that I usually wouldn't make my own tacos. Like, even if it's as simple as just including radishes, because Jocelyn and I have never purchased a radish on purpose in my
Right?
entire life. But when you
Radishes, I feel like, are the HelloFresh go-to. Did you know you can actually eat this thing?
did you know if you slice them really thin that they have a surprisingly nice texture and go really well on tacos? Like, I know a lot of other places put radishes on their tacos depending on where you go, but I've never done it on purpose on my own. And yeah, I just dig their tacos. You can also add extra meals to your weekly order. You can also add sides. They have things like garlic bread, cookie dough, and another one of my favorite features is that you can change your delivery days. It's really easy. You can also change your food preferences, or you can just skip a week whenever you need to. Like I need to right now because I'm not home. I don't want a HelloFresh
You're
sitting on
not
the
at home,
doorstep.
Garrett?
No.
Who knew?
Yeah, can't you? No, this is my green screen. I just wanted it to look like a kind of generic bedroom with bad lighting.
That would be
Uh,
amazing. If you
actually,
actually were at home and just green screened a hotel room in behind you.
I'm not that good with green screens. It would actually be. I'm not sure how I would go about getting this bad of lighting on my face and still keying at a green screen correctly. I'm sure there's a way to do it. Someone who actually is good with film would probably tell me to do that. But anyway, yeah, it's really convenient. Again, I'm gonna also have to skip a week when I go to BlizzCon. HelloFresh is just convenient in all aspects, including when you might need to pause your weekly deliveries. So go check them out. Again, I can't recommend the tacos enough. If you're like me and you love tacos, definitely don't miss a week when they're offering tacos. And you can also get $80 off your first month of HelloFresh when you go to HelloFresh.com/TAC80 and enter the code TAC80 right now. That's basically, it's $20 off your first 4 boxes by going to HelloFresh.com/TAC80 and entering the code TAC80. And now let's do it, Jocelyn. Let's talk about BlizzCon because it's now so close. I went straight past getting excited to travel anxiety, and we needed that. So you and I were going back and forth in Discord between one another, and we were talking about today's episode. And you were like, "Garrett, strategy. What are we doing?" And I'm like, "Jocelyn, all I played is Tavern Brawl this week because I'm traveling, and all I have is a mobile connection." And then I'm like, we should talk BlizzCon because we really haven't. We haven't said much about BlizzCon and all this China stuff has really dominated the Hearthstone conversation for the past 2 weeks. We should probably look at BlizzCon, and even if there isn't information, which up until hours ago there wasn't,
There was nothing.
we should talk about what's up with that. And a lot of we talked about it on Twitter. A lot of people were like, "You know why they're not talking about it? They're just trying to keep their heads low." And I disagree with that because I feel like every year it's been getting a little later and a little later and a little later that they actually drop a schedule, that they drop a map, that they tell us who's playing. We still don't know what musical acts they're playing.
That's true.
I think it's probably Train again, and they just don't want another protest on their hands. I'm never gonna stop dumping on Train.
I know. I don't think that it's gonna be Train again.
It's the only explanation for why they haven't told us who's playing Jocelyn. But yeah. Anyway, hours before the show, the map for BlizzCon dropped, and the schedule asterisks dropped. So let's first focus on things we actually know, things that, as far as BlizzCon is concerned, actually have information filled in, as opposed to a blank multiple choice test, which is what the schedule currently looks like. But the map is here. It is out. It is for the most part filled out. There's a couple noteworthy blank areas, and also some noteworthy changes. But the big one is, and I've been speculating about this on a couple of episodes. I think it was like last month or even the month before that Hearthstone would be returning to the main hall because we don't have HGC anymore. This is the first year in a long time where Heroes of the Storm hasn't had a dedicated esports stage. And unless there was some big last minute announcement that we're going to have Heroes like show match esport events, so we're bringing the stage back, which I just did not see coming.
No, there's no way they would do that when they've got Hearthstone finals to show, right?
Yeah. Derek in the chat room, you are correct. Hearthstone is out of the basement. Hearthstone is returning to the main hall for the longest time. When back in my day, you young whippersnappers, BlizzCon was only the 4 main halls of Anaheim, Hall A through D. That was BlizzCon. We didn't have all this fancy like North Hall additions or arena usage or anything of that nature. So when I say main hall, I'm talking about A through D because it's all in the same main building. And so Hearthstone, the tournament stage is going to Hall B.
Yeah, it's like right smack dab in the middle because even when, I'm trying to remember, even the last time that they had the Hearthstone like finals, the World Championship at BlizzCon was a few years ago now, and I feel like it was even like Hall A. Like it was way far away from kind of everything. It was on the way to the arena, but it wasn't like this year it's like right smack dab in the middle. So StarCraft is going to be out in the arena, and then Overwatch is out that way too. I think there's a lot of matches for Overwatch on the legendary stage. But then, yeah, you've got like WoW and Hearthstone right there. Hearthstone's front and center again. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I hated going down to the North Hall. It was the worst.
Yeah, there was a year, it was either last year or the year before, where I just didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't visit it because it was global games. And
It
well,
was
let's face it,
global games,
we're
it was
spoiled.
way out
We
of
have
the
media
way,
passes,
and
so if we want to play the demo, we can do it in the media area.
Yeah.
So,
and the Tavern was down there, and this year the Tavern is right next to the tournament stage, so the Tavern is literally right in the middle of BlizzCon. So I think that's going to be really good too, because the Hearthstone Tavern is awesome. They have like live band in there playing all the Hearthstone music, and it's like fully on theme. They've got a guy dressed up like the innkeeper. I mean, the innkeeper is there.
Yeah,
it's so much fun.
And again, I get it. It's been hard in years past. Like the North Hall was a good thing. It opened. Extra space was added to BlizzCon, and it clearly needed the extra space. And at a certain point, it kind of felt cool that Hearthstone was in there because it always had a really unique vibe compared to everything else at BlizzCon. The stage itself is just like Disney levels of theme park, awesome in the way it looks. And then also the Tavern, as you mentioned, the Tavern, like the first time they had it, it was in one of those weird second level off rooms. And it was a lot of fun. It was like across the way from the Dark Moon Fair. It was really cool, but it couldn't have been more disconnected from the esports stage. And so, like, I remember when they added it to the North Hall, it's like, oh, rad! All the Hearthstone stuff's going to be together. It gets its own room. It's going to be really cool. But then when I was there, I'm like, it's just kind of far away. And also because it's global games. It's not the main, the tier S of competition. I'm not as drawn to it. So I'm stoked as hell that it's back in the main stage. As sad as I am that Heroes doesn't have any sport anymore. In before Jocelyn reminds me unprovoked that Heroes doesn't have any sport.
I didn't do it, you guys. I'm not rubbing it in. I'm just very excited that now there's space for Hearthstone, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, totally. So, but that isn't to say that there are not things in the North Hall. One of the panel stages is in the North Hall, the Epic stage, and there's at first I'm like, oh, it's going to be like where they do community things. And looking at the schedule, oh, I'm sad. Oh, Heroes of the Storm is over there. They're kind of getting the chef. But no, Hearthstone is also over there. One of the Hearthstone panels is happening at the Epic stage. But I think that's good from like a kind of traffic design standpoint, because panels are popular. If you want people to go to the North Hall, like make them kind of get something with some draw, which I just don't mean to keep kind of harping on HGG, but I just don't think it had that draw.
No, it didn't. And the other thing that is going to draw a lot of people over to the North Hall is that where Hearthstone used to be, that's where the store is going to be this year, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, because Hall E, which is where registration used to be, which was like this way off to the side basement, where the security guards would usually yell at you because you're walking on the wrong colored tape line that you can barely see because it's so dark down there. It is now a Blizzard arcade. There's like a bunch of old Blizzard stuff that's going to be playable, including StarCraft 2. I didn't realize I just lumped that in with old Blizzard stuff that's playable. But there's like a Blackthorn demo and a rock and roll racing demo. And I find
there's Diablo stuff down there. There's the Warcraft 3 Reforged demo is going to be down there. So there's a lot of stuff happening down in the Blizzard arcade. So I think that's a much more interesting use of the space.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there's any chance any of those things are like we're just assuming they're ways to play the old games? Or do you think any of it's like just a sneaky way to be like, oh yeah, we're releasing Blackthorn remastered, and so it's not just you're not going down there to play OG Blackthorn. You're going down there to play a revisioned version of it.
Could be.
That would be very cheeky of them.
It would be. Yeah. That's a lot. If all of this stuff is all getting remastered, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And then registration is being moved to the Sheraton parking lot, which is the hotel in front of the Hilton that we all forget is there because it's not the lobby with the party and the obnoxious DJ.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then there's like Overwatch League gear for sale across the street for some reason.
Yeah, that I think is really weird placement. I think like I know that traffic circle, and I'm kind of like, so is that part of a parking lot too that they're taking over? Or like I don't remember there being a lot of just space by that traffic circle.
Me neither, but maybe they're shutting down that part of the street, which would give them
Maybe.
a lot of control over it.
Maybe.
I would assume they are. I mean, they already get like full control of the main causeway between the two major hotels because it's where they line the food trucks up.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I also like looking at the map and looking for dark spots because it's like, ooh, what's going there?
And there's a really big one, actually, the same really big dark spot that we had last year that turned out to be the Diablo Immortal area. So it's right behind the Mythic stage. It's a pretty big spot. Do we think that this is a Diablo 4 area? Or do we think that this is potentially an entirely new IP? We haven't had a new IP since Overwatch. And when Overwatch was announced, it was the first time in forever, like 10 or 15-ish something amount of big number of years since they had done a fully new out of the box IP. So
yeah. Pre Overwatch, Blizzard had a triangular roof because they only had 3 columns, and it was StarCraft, Warcraft, and Diablo. And then Overwatch was that fourth now pillar holding, of the Blizzard house. It's got to be Diablo 4. Because in my mind, like the one thing that is definitely happening is the next Diablo. Who knows if it's even called Diablo 4? Although there was that leak, I believe, from a German advertisement for a new Diablo art book.
that
certainly makes it seem like it is just going to be called Diablo 4.
Well, and there's also the Overwatch 2 rumors as well, and I feel like Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2, I'm not sure if either one of those would be at the stage of having a playable demo. Like maybe Overwatch 2. I guess it depends how much 2ing we're doing in terms of how different it's going to be.
How much 2ing we're doing.
Yeah.
Chat room's yelling Hearthstone 2.0. That would
but
be
there's a Hearthstone demo area though, so whatever we're gonna get from Hearthstone, I imagine that the new expansion will be playable in one form or another. And then if they are actually announcing anything else for Hearthstone, then it'll be part of that demo space. So Overwatch itself already has a demo area as well. Then we've got the Hearthstone demo and Warcraft demo. They all have space. So, and like we said, the Heroes demo is down in Hall E with the arcade. So the only thing that doesn't have demo space, although it does say Diablo 3 demo, well, Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 demos are all in the arcade. But I don't know. I feel like maybe, I don't know. Might be a totally new thing.
I think it's Diablo 4. I'll make you I'll make you a beer bet. Whoever wins this owes the other a beer at BlizzCon.
All right, I'll say new IP then, and you say Diablo 4,
or maybe a gin and tonic.
Okay.
Because if I'm gonna spend Hilton prices on drinks, I want liquor. Yeah, I'm going with Diablo 4. And I don't think that rules out an Overwatch 2 announcement. They can throw the Overwatch demo on the map, and we're just going to go, yeah, it makes sense. If there's not an Overwatch 2, they're not lying to us. And if there is an Overwatch 2, they're still not lying to us. It's still an Overwatch
it's
demo
still
area.
Overwatch, yeah.
Yeah. So that doesn't surprise me. I will say that's a pretty big area for a World of Warcraft demo. So expansion definitely confirmed.
Oh yeah, I
Moving
think
on.
we're definitely getting an expansion announcement for Warcraft and Hearthstone.
Yeah. So also Dark. Well, I guess Epic Stage is up in the Dark Moon Fair. Never mind. I was going to say there's actually a lot of. It seemed like there's a lot of dead space around the Epic Stage, but if the Dark Moon Fair is up there, that space is definitely accounted for.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the Dark Moon Fair. If you guys haven't ever been up there, there's the pin trading stuff is up there. There's the purchasing stuff. You can purchase the toy capsule things. You can do they have the pet, like the plushie area. Yeah,
oh yes, where we have to get Katie a Moonkin this year, or it's the end of times, because that was the saddest display I've ever experienced at last year's BlizzCon.
Yep.
She didn't get her Moonkin, everybody, and she watched the final Moonkin get sold. It was very sad.
It was so sad.
It was very, very sad.
We'll go there day one this year.
Yeah. Also, StarCraft's back in the arena,
Mm-hmm.
although it looks like it's splitting it with Overwatch. I know they had already officially announced this. This wasn't just like guessing that StarCraft was returning to the arena, but it looks like it will be sharing the stage with Overwatch, or like splitting its time, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be pretty hard to split the stage in the arena because it's an arena. But yeah,
it looks like it looks like StarCraft Esports is doing their stuff on Friday, and then Overwatch is doing their stuff on Saturday. So that's how they're splitting it. Is one day, the other is the other day. So there's no StarCraft on the second day.
Well, I know what I'm doing on Friday. Oh no, but the Hearthstone finals are
Hearthstone's.
Oh no,
both
it's
days.
elimination. It's
Yeah.
split. Yeah. Oh, thank God, because I want to watch StarCraft. So I can.
So you can watch StarCraft on Friday and then Hearthstone finals on Saturday. There you go.
Oh, this is perfect. Thank you. So they literally scheduled this just for me.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, just for me. Thank you, Blizzard, for loving me and only me, and scheduling BlizzCon around my desires. So speaking of the schedule, let's talk about it, because the Mythic stage, which is the main stage, which is where the biggest panels historically take place, just is coming soon. 3:30 first day, coming soon. 4:30 coming soon. 5:30 coming soon. 6:30 coming soon. 8:15. Guess what? Actually, it's a cosplay exhibition. It doesn't say coming soon.
No, but there's 2 more coming soons on the Mythic stage on Saturday as well. So there's a total of 6 panels that just say coming soon. Now, we've also got all of the panels for, like Hearthstone and for Warcraft, and that have like they used to do like their I think it was they used to call them the What's Next panels. They're now called Warcraft Update, Hearthstone Update. So like those panels already exist. So I don't know what all these coming soon panels are going to be.
That's so many panels.
It's so many. It's, oh my God, it's insane. So, and like, cause I assumed that they would be all of the like What's Next panels, and they just didn't want to tell us the order, or they didn't want to give us any information because they were trying to keep what they were going to announce a secret. But if they've already got like their update panels, then what the heck are these going to be?
I don't know. But yeah, so that's 6 total panels on the main stage across 2 days that are shrouded in mystery.
Yes. And historically, the, Warcraft update and basically all of their games' major What's Next panels have basically been on that Mythic stage. So traditionally, it's been opening ceremony.
It just hit me.
Oh, okay, I thought you said what just hit me. I was like,
no, it just hit me, Josh. Something hit me. I'm being assaulted. Call the police. The address to my Airbnb is as follows. So if let's say it's just Diablo 4, because it's basically confirmed at this point.
Okay.
You could definitely a new game being announced that's easily 2 panels worth, right? Like at bare minimum, maybe there's even 3. Right, so I think there's at least a third. Yeah, because
I think it's pretty safe to say one of the coming soon panels is going to be talking about Diablo, because Diablo does not have a Diablo update panel scheduled. So I
Yeah.
think Diablo 4 is probably a pretty safe guess.
Yes. And I'm putting on like my hype analysis hat. I'm kind of, I will explain this in a moment, but I'm approaching this from like, how has Blizzard, what weight do they place hype wise on certain types of announcements at BlizzCon? I hope they've adjusted that hat since last year, but considering how much pre-hype there has been from folks we have talked to at Blizzard, like this is like off the record type of stuff. Just talking to our friends that work there, they're like, "Y'all, this is going to be a big year." This is obviously before Blizzard had a rough year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're not going to pretend that didn't happen. Um, but like, there's just a lot of hype surrounding this internally, and Diablo 4, that is expected. Like that is a big
Yeah.
thing, but it is expected. And so I think the report that an Overwatch 2 is being worked on and pretty much ready to announce at this year's BlizzCon, that's really plausible for me. That is filed under extremely plausible, because I think you need kind of two new major like A tier announcements outside of an expansion for World of Warcraft. Not to say I don't get stoked for those. I really do. I love World of Warcraft still. But that's kind of an expectation. A Hearthstone expansion, that's an expectation. They have to announce their third expansion because we know it's coming.
Yeah.
So new like top tier Blizzard releases, two of those that I feel would really whip up the like Blizzard internally to be like, guys, don't miss next year. It's going to be nuts.
And I think that
And
we
then
could still get
I think one of them. This is my reaching. I think one of them is Burning Crusade Classic. One of these is going to be about that. Because
okay.
why would you obfuscate a panel about WoW Classic if it's just about what we already know is coming because we all played through it already? I mean, we played through Burning Crusade already as well, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess the future of WoW Classic could definitely be a panel, and whether that's an announcement of Burning Crusade or not. I hope that they're going that route because I would really like to play Wrath of the Lich King. And I obviously have never done that before. So I want to see what everybody's talking about when they say, Wrath was the best WoW expansion. We love it. Yay. I want to experience that. So I hope that that's the direction things are going. But I think it's pretty safe to say with 6 panels that are being obscured and knowing that our Hearthstone, Heroes, Warcraft, and Overwatch all have update panels scheduled, so it's not those. I think you can probably pretty safely say Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, and then if one of those happens to be Burning Crusade, awesome. That still, I think, leaves space for another IP. And I'm kind of wondering if Blizzard is going to dip their toe into the whole auto chess thing. Like that seems to be the realm they haven't touched, right? So maybe they're going to try to take on the TFT crowd.
It seems ripe for a Blizzard spin. Like it seems so in their wheelhouse, which is the only reason I definitely agree with you. It would be unlike them to move this quickly. Blizzard, it's an age-old joke. They should rename themselves to Glacier because that's the speed at which they move.
Yeah.
That said, I would play. I'd be very interested in that. I mean, this week I was looking at my auto chess thing on my phone, going, I can't play you. You take too much time. Like you don't work on a like you do work, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like I can play it. It plays very well, but I can't like opt into a 40-minute game on my phone. It's not something I can do when I'm helping my wife at a trade show.
Yeah.
So I think there's still, as Riot has shown us, there's ways to innovate there, where maybe we didn't think there was, because Valve came out with their auto chess and it was more or less the exact same game, and then Riot's like, oh yeah, how about these apples? How about hexagons?
Yeah.
So I'd love to see a Blizzard take on that. Do you think there's any chance any of these hidden panels are some kind of big surprise for Hearthstone?
Ooh. I don't know. I feel like no. And maybe that's just me being super pessimistic. But I feel like an update panel for Hearthstone is probably enough, unless the like total tinfoil hat conspiracy theory is that these are all just actually Q&A panels and they don't want to tell you which Q&A is going to be when. But I mean, that's the piece that's missing, right? Is that there's no Q&A panels in the schedule anywhere. So, I mean, I don't know if they've eliminated them totally this year, but I would feel like Hearthstone would at most probably deserve a Q&A panel, right? Because I know I said, and I'm still hoping that we're going to get a new game mode. That's like my pie in the sky. I hope Hearthstone has something big to announce to us this year, but I don't know. I find it kind of hard to believe that Hearthstone is gonna just totally blow our socks off. And it's because I've had so much hope over the past few years and we've gotten the same thing that we've always expected. So I predict we get the same thing we always expect. We get an expansion announcement and then, that's my prediction. And then my prediction's totally wrong because they're just on it with new stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been hurt so much in the past, Garrett.
Well, in their defense too, like there's been a lot of surprises this year. They've just already happened. They're already in the game. In terms of the like mid expansion events, we didn't see those coming. They didn't announce those at last year's BlizzCon. I think they were BlizzCon worthy. I think that would have been a really cool thing to announce. I understand that they don't want to announce things too far ahead in advance, but we would have been losing our shit last year at BlizzCon if they were like, and next year we will buff cards at some point and we will bring back wild cards at some point into the standard rotation. Like that alone, those two things would have just been like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that's amazing. That would have been enough.
Well, and that's kind of why I think I talked a couple months ago when we were first, hypothetically talking about what BlizzCon could mean for Hearthstone. And that's kind of why I'm hoping that we're going to end up with a roadmap, because I think at this point in Hearthstone's lifespan, like we've been doing this show for 6 years, the game has been out for like 5.5. So it's getting a little bit long in the tooth. And I think this is the point where people who are still playing Hearthstone are the super hardcore Hearthstone fans that are pretty much going to stick around. Like, we're the ones who love the game. We're going to be here for the rest of Hearthstone's life. You don't need to hide stuff from us to get us stoked. Like, if you give us a roadmap, that's probably actually going to keep us more engaged and more interested knowing what's coming. And a lot of companies are going down this route of, what the next year is going to look like. Not too much details, but just kind of timeline stuff. Like Sea of Thieves does it, Dead by Daylight does it. And putting that kind of information out there makes it so people stay excited because they know when things are coming. And we've got a pretty good idea in terms of expansions, like when we're going to get our new expansions and how our year is split up in that way. But if they do have new stuff, like you said, if they had said next fall, you're going to get some wild cards coming back into standard, that would have been so crazy and exciting. Then we could be like, oh my God, okay, is it coming September, October? Like, what's happening? When is it happening? I think you can let people know what's coming and maintain the excitement with the kind of fan base Hearthstone has now at this point in its life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't know. They've done such a good job this year that I'm just content, and it'd be cool to be surprised. But I'll be okay if it's just an expansion announcement. I would be surprised by a roadmap because it just seems really unlike them. It's really unlike most of the Blizzard games to have a roadmap.
Doesn't mean they shouldn't do it.
I do. I would love one. I just don't think they're gonna. Is my point. Anything at the top of your head, like whether you think they're gonna do it or not, like anything off the top of your head you think would be surprise panel worthy? Like the tournament mode, obviously, I think that just think of an announcement for Hearthstone that would actually fill its own panel. Because for me, like a tournament mode feels that way.
Really? I don't think so. I would not want to, even me who is interested in esports and interested in playing tournaments in game, I wouldn't want to watch a whole panel on it. So,
okay.
I mean,
another button Another button in
Another,
general, I guess.
yeah,
Something
another
we're not,
button maybe.
yeah, something we're not expecting.
Unless they're just going to do a like full on client revamp. And part of that full on client revamp is going to be opening up possibilities for all the things that we've ever asked for. So, tournament mode, the idea of having multiple ways to play arena, having the heroic tavern brawls available all the time, you know, having the ability to create your own stuff in game and like a sandbox mode, all the stuff we've ever asked for. A revamp of the client, I think, would probably be worthy of a panel because that would open things up, right, to allow a lot of those things to happen. So I think if they're doing a client revamp, like rebuilding from the ground up sort of thing, that's the kind of thing, because then they can talk about all the things they'll be able to do in the upcoming year. I would say that would be main stage panel worthy.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to kind of wrap those thoughts up. But it's interesting that there's so much shrouded in mystery. Because if it was
Yeah.
4, I'm like, cool. Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, let's move on. But there's 6.
Unless,
What are
like I said, they just don't want us to know which Q&A is when.
they're gonna have to tell us eventually, and it's
I know.
irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like if they're really that worried about what questions will be, I guarantee. I don't think any attendee is getting a microphone in their face
No, I think it's
at,
going to be
at
the
all.
mailbox questions for sure.
And I don't even think that the Hong Kong stuff has anything to do with it. I think last year's like Diablo Immortal pushback. I
Yeah,
think
is this
they
an
were already
April
having
Fool's
this
joke?
discussion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they probably had their post BlizzCon meeting, and they're like, "Oh boy, that got away from us, didn't it? How do we not let that happen next year?" And then this year, the Hong Kong thing happened, and then someone was like, "Woo, sure am glad that dude made that kind of jerky but funny remark about an early April or late April Fool's joke because we've already got this covered at least."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think that happens anymore.
Yeah.
I think you line up to ask a representative your question, and that representative then relays your question to the devs on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Because that way, they can just avoid things they would
That
rather not
situation. Yeah.
have spouted into a microphone
Mm-hmm.
live. But yeah, so it's interesting. What a weird dichotomy that of emotions we're going into this year's BlizzCon, because there's so much hype about what they're going to announce, and yet so much like, woo, there's a lot of unrest, and how's that going to play out?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting for sure. But anyways, head to blizzcon.com to see the map and to keep your eye on that schedule. I would imagine if it's shrouded in mystery now, it's going to stay that way until post opening ceremony.
Yeah, I would expect that too, because that's usually when we get our reveals in terms of the schedule. Because this isn't the first time that they have obscured parts of the schedule or parts of the floor plan. So I would expect after the initial opening ceremonies, when everything gets, oh, we're doing this and this and this and this, and then tune into all the panels for all the details, like then all of that will get fleshed out. So yeah. Expected big curtain at the back of the mythic stage, which is super fun.
Big curtain?
Well, yeah, they had big, huge like curtains, like walling off the Diablo area last
the back
year.
of the mythic stage. I'm like, that's where the screens are, Jocelyn. You can't put a curtain there.
Behind the chairs at the back of the hall. They're gonna put all the
That's pushes up glasses. That's the entryway. That would be the front of the hall, Jocelyn.
If it's behind my butt, it's the back.
That's where the rogues are. So before we wrap this episode up, we do want to crack open our inbox. You can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. If you're a patron, make sure you've got your Discord hooked up to your Patreon account, because congratulations, you are in the patron-only Discord. Rakamar writes in this week and says, between Tombs of Terror, Dalaran Heist, and all the old heroic adventures and puzzle labs I never completed, you should go back and try them, Rakamar. They're really good. Hearthstone has been a purely single-player experience for me the last few months. Do you think Hearthstone could or would develop even more single-player offerings than a dungeon run every set? Do you think there's enough of an audience for that? And if you had asked me this question last year, I would have been like, no, for the love of God, burn it with fire, stop it. After this year, I'm like, just make that, like, what they're doing a button and just iterate upon it,
Hmm.
like, as it is. Like, not that I have anything against changing it up from Dollar on Heist to Tombs of Terror to whatever dragon themed thing is coming next. It's totally dragons, gotta be dragons.
Yeah, maybe that's what we'll talk about next episode is our actual theories on what the next Hearthstone expansion could be, because apparently we haven't done that yet, really, and everyone's super stoked on what we might think, but
I think it's dragons.
just as dragons.
It's something big. You can't get that specific because they put too much of their own spin on it now. Like, even when it was like Dalaran, and we're like, oh damn, we going to Dalaran. We didn't think to ourselves, oh, they're doing the Great Gatsby with Medivh in Dalaran and a hot tub for some reason. Like, you can't guess that kind of stuff. You
Yeah.
can't infer that. So yeah, like when I say dragons, that's about as specific as I'm gonna get because, well, I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think there is an audience for it. I think they've done a really good job this year. I'm looking forward to talking to devs at BlizzCon kind of about like what the reception has been. I'm sure I'm not going to get like hard numbers on the record, but I kind of want to get a feel for the pulse.
Yeah,
Like,
how popular it is. Yeah.
yeah, how did this year go? Because to me, I look at it as one, like, there were so many surprises this year, but that was the one, like, definitely the biggest surprise for me because if you've been listening to the show for any amount of time, you know that previously I really didn't like dungeon runs, and they've converted me this year. So, so I don't know. Maybe it doesn't need to be its own standalone thing that's like evergreen, and they just apply lessons learned and new features to all of it. Although I kind of wish they did, but maybe it's a mix of the two. Because really, what I'm talking about, Josh, is like I really like the new little extra additions they put in Tombs of Terror, and I'd like to go back and play Dalaran Heist with
With
the
like the
new
treasure at the
features.
beginning.
Yeah, like exactly. Like if imagine that. Yeah, exactly that.
But then if you just apply new things to old content, then the worry is I think that it would be super easy and unbalanced because Dollar on Heist was kind of balanced and tuned around not having those treasures, and some of those treasures are really, really powerful. So if you could then go back to Dollar on Heist, choose a starting treasure, and then just roll it over, would it still be fun?
I didn't say it wouldn't be difficult on on a execution level. I'm just here to say what I would like and would play.
Obviously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Alex in the chat room says Slay the Spire style Hearthstone game, which is like there. Where we are now is like Slay the Spire light. Like Slay
Mm.
the Spire goes a lot deeper with it, and I think they could do that. And that's kind of what I'm pitching, and I'm just bad at, I guess, putting it into words. But something that's even meatier than what we have now. And I think the only way that maybe we could get away with that is if like the single player was just a constantly evolving thing throughout the whole year,
Mm.
and it wasn't like tentpole releases of Dalaran Heist, Tombs
Yeah,
of
like
Terror,
self-contained stuff. Yeah.
Dragons of Darkshire. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, Rakamara, I do think there's an audience for that. Um, we hear from a lot of folks who enjoy the more casual side of things. I always hate using the word casual because I feel
Hmm.
there is too strong a negative connotation within gaming spheres. But I don't personally see it that way. It's just like non-competitive. Um, and I think there's a lot of room for that in Hearthstone because Hearthstone is inherently charming as hell. And it is attractive just from a like a rapper standpoint to a lot of people. But if like you hand it off to your aunt at Thanksgiving and they go on the ladder and get their teeth kicked in, they're not going to stick around. But they're laughing at Sir Finley cracking wise in a solo adventure. Yeah, you're probably gonna get them to stick around for a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the single player experience has been really, really fun. I think both Garrett and I have flipped on our opinion of single player because I mean I didn't even touch Rosticon voting with my time since at that point you couldn't vote with your dollars. And I think since they've started charging for it and kind of giving back and rewarding you for playing it, I think it's gotten into a better place, and they're able to, I guess, maybe like from a business standpoint, put some more resources behind it based on what the sales of these are like. And I think you can really tell by the complexity of what they're putting out. And I've had a lot of fun in single player, and I think that they could get away with more single player offerings, even if it doesn't fall into the dungeon run category. Even if we had, you know, an update to puzzle labs every couple of months, you know, basically anything that will just add a little bit more to do in Hearthstone other than just ladder. And I think they've been doing a really good job of that, with the changes to arena being offset, with the single player being offset from expansion releases, and, you know, with these events that they've been doing. There's a lot to do, and it changes up fairly often. And I think that there's maybe a couple times where we go for 6 or 8 weeks without a change. And maybe in that 6 or 8 weeks, we could, you know, get a puzzle lab infusion, or, you know, it's kind of hard to think what other single player stuff you could really do in Hearthstone, because, you know, I'm just not that creative, and we've only really seen, you know, dungeon runs, adventures, and puzzle labs. So, but I mean, I would love it if we just got another like 25 puzzles to do of varying difficulty.
Yeah. I want a raid. I want like a co-op raid, man. Like, I realize that Hearthstone as it currently exists, it's really hard to fathom how they would do that in a satisfying way, because like the boss that switches sides, the thing they've done in Brawl in the past, I find that doesn't do it for me.
Well, and maybe this is where we start to talk about, again, a full client revamp, because a full client revamp would give them the opportunity to kind of get outside of that, you know, one person on one side, one person on the other side Hearthstone board. And maybe they've got, you know, different boards now when you have two people facing off against a boss in like an artifact kind of style. Who knows? Like, they could, if they revamp the client, it opens up a lot of doors for a lot of content, not just, you know, PvP.
Yeah. Although that's just one of those things, like, I don't think will ever happen, but it's at the tip top of, like, if I could just wave a magic wand and make anything happen, it would be a hardcore redesign of Hearthstone from like a code up. Like, make this game, just build the engine in a different way than you have, because clearly it causes issues. But again, it's not at the forefront of my mind, because I've just been so happy with how the game has progressed this year.
Yeah, which makes me totally want more single player stuff. So
yeah, we do also have a history on the Angry Chicken to build our own drum and then beat it endlessly. The last one was called Tournament Mode, and so I'm not anxious to build a new one, but I'm totally with you on this, Joss.
Yeah, yes. And yeah, maybe
one day,
one day,
one day, China has one. I know we don't want to talk about China right now, but, you know, it's there.
It's Why there don't we and it works. One? Yeah.
It's there. It works. Can we have it? Please, sir, can I have any?
Yeah, not even some more. Just any of it would be nice.
Yeah, any would be lovely. But yeah, anyways, Rakamar, thank you for your question. So keep those emails coming. TACpodcast@gmail.com, or again, drop us a message in the Patreon Discord. By supporting us on Patreon, which, speaking of which, before we end the show, we do want to thank those of you supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. And as I've been saying, and I'm going to reiterate, in times like this, it really means a lot to see support, to see new patrons signing up. And while you know, we are seeing patrons leave for reasons that are probably very obvious given the last few weeks of discussion on this show, we also seeing quite a few new patrons and first-time patrons show up and to support the podcast, and to that we really cannot thank you enough, because we are independent and we do create content for a living, and this show is one of the single largest pillars of how we pay our bills. So really, thanks everybody. We see every one of you that signs up, and it is a delight in the middle of our day to check our inbox and see that. So thank you very much. And we also have perks for you, like the patron only Discord, early entry into our tournaments, and other things like that. So head on over to patreon.com/TAC. If you like the Angry Chicken, if you like what Jocelyn and I are doing, and you want to support us, that is the best way to do so. And to our most recent patrons, Dan F., Tickle Rogue, Chicksabob, and Martin H. Some fun names this week. Thanks for signing up. Welcome to being our bosses.
I like to think that Tickle Rogue is actually their given name.
Yes, our patrons are hundreds of the greatest bosses I have ever had in my entire life.
Agreed.
You outnumber every other boss I've ever had by a great number, and you are all infinitely kinder human beings. Except Jeff. Jeff was a cool boss. Jeff, you don't listen, but you were kind of a cool boss.
For a second, I thought we had a patron named Jeff, and you were like, every patron out there is great, except Jeff. I was like, poor Jeff. What did he ever do to you?
No, it was the retail boss I had that was actually pretty chill dude. I like Jeff. He was kind. Anyways, gonna wrap it up for the show. Huge thanks to our producers, Declan H, Sean C, and Jeezy Bob. You can catch the entire back catalog of Angry Chicken episodes either on the amove.tv website or youtube.com/amovetv. Also, I don't mention it that often, but if you are listening on the podcast, it helps us out a lot if you subscribe. I know there's actually a surprising amount of listeners that, just visit us on Spotify or iTunes or whatever and just stream the episode. Subscribing does help us. So if you are listening on the podcast, hit the subscribe button. I sound like a YouTuber. Smash that subscribe button.
Do.
Yeah.
Right down below.
You can't because it's a podcast. You can
so
tweet
maybe
at us.
It's above. I don't know Spotify that well.
But you can tweet at us. And speaking of which, Jocelyn, when you are not doing the Angry Chicken, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. And speaking of Twitch, if you guys are around this coming Saturday from noon till midnight, I will be doing my second Extra Life stream. So do come and check it out. Obviously, I talk about Extra Life a whole lot every fall, but it does benefit the Children's Miracle Network of hospitals. So if you want to come and catch some of the marathon, again, that is this Saturday. I almost said Friday. This Saturday, October 26th. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You should definitely go and support that. It's just such a good cause, Jocelyn. Do you need a better cause? I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. You can follow me on there. I am going to go dark for the next few days while Katie and I go and celebrate our 4th anniversary.
Oh,
Katie, I love you. You don't listen to this, but I do. Everyone else, I'm glad you're throwing up in your mouth right now.
Yeah, so gross. Come on,
Enjoy
Garrett.
Enjoy it. Everything else, amove.tv. Check it out. Got new episodes of Let's Talk About Star Wars coming at you. I just posted this week's episode of Into the Nexus, which I was going to schedule for Thursday, but then they announced Deathwing, and I'm like, just get this out the door. They announced Deathwing, and we didn't talk about it.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the fact that they announced Deathwing. So what is Heroes doing? We're so
Jocelyn.
close to BlizzCon. Why?
I don't know. They even have a panel. I'm so confused. I have to wrap my head around it, and I will be not thinking about that while I take in the Appalachian Mountains with Katie. It's going to be lovely. The leaves are changing. That's not a thing that happens in Florida. They just die and ruin your car paint. There's no in between. They just turn immediately brown and fall. But yeah, it's going to be a good time. So amove.tv for all my podcasts, everybody. Go check them out. And we'll see you soon at BlizzCon. And we totally effing forgot to promote the meetup. BlizzCon, final night, Saturday. After the con itself, we will be partying in the Marriott lobby, either the lobby bar or the patio area directly behind the lobby bar. Come find us at 10 p.m. local time and hang out, have a drink, have a snack, whatever you're into. We'll be discussing everything that just went down at BlizzCon. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about. Let's do it in a loud hotel setting. Let's do it.
Obviously.
We'll see you at the annual A-Move get-together at BlizzCon. The final night, 10 p.m. in the Marriott lobby. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of The Angry Chicken. Thank you all for listening, and until next time, job's done.
Job's done.